Hey, I want to let you know real quick before you listen to this episode. This episode was recorded a long time ago, so you're gonna hear Hot Fix. It's not the name anymore. Went through a name change. It's in post. You're listening to in post. So tune in, sit back, relax, have a good time. Hey, two things before this episode gets started. One, spoiler warning. We're gonna be covering any and everything about this movie. Second, I'm gonna give you a little education real quick. What is the invisible hand? Well, the invisible hand is a metaphor for the unforeseen forces that move the free market economy. Keep that little nugget in your head as you listen to this entire episode. Enjoy. All right, we here. All right. We back. Hello. How y'all doing? This is Hot Fix, the number one news and information for video games, movies, TV shows, all that, the kit and caboodle. We are back with another movie we talking about. Jay-Z, what are we talking about?
Man, we talking about the kid and caboodle.
The kit and caboodle. You like that?
I do like that, man. You
The
took
kit
it
and
way
caboodle.
back.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Like
Nobody
spinal cords and car seats.
Nobody
Way
be
back.
using that. All right. I guess we're just gonna hop right into it, man. Jeezy. What were your initial impressions on this movie?
Man, I was really, I hate saying pleasantly surprised because I don't want to make it sound like I wasn't thinking it was going to be good, but it's kind of a movie where I like the artistic pacing of it. I really like the subtlety that they had in most of the scenes. I like the pacing. I love the storytelling aspects of it, but moreover, I like the subtle humor. It wasn't overpowering. It wasn't nothing too much in your face. It was enough to definitely keep you. It was enough to keep you glued.
That's interesting because, excuse me, I have a different look on this film.
Go ahead.
Actually, again, I didn't hate it, but it wasn't something that like I necessarily loved. But I enjoyed my time with it, and the themes and the ideas that was throughout the movie, really good. But I was going into this when I first looked at this movie, it was one of the tags was like dark comedy. I'm like, okay, cool. I expected to get some laughs in, and I find myself doing less laughing and more introspective thinking of like, dang, life sucks. Like, I don't know. This film just made me feel so nihilistic at the end of it all. After watching, I'm like, is there any good of anything in this world?
Wait.
Is how I got it.
I kind of agree with that, and maybe because my brother is a dank, it didn't really like rub me too raw. But I will say though, it said dark comedy.
When I first looked it up, when I first saw the trailer, I'm like, what was this about? And then it had like it was labeled as like a dark comedy kind of movie. But there weren't many jokes.
It wasn't
in this
many
movie,
jokes like that,
which is a critique that I actually have of this film. This film is just so heavy with its material and like the themes that are throughout. It's very easy to understand what it's trying to say and what it is saying.
Yeah,
There are the themes that like you're getting. There's no humor to like cut through all that like deep raw like it's like you eating a piece of candy and it's so sweet. There's nothing to cut through that sweetness.
Yeah.
You need some of that bitterness.
Yeah.
There was nothing to cut through that bitterness to give me something sweet.
I'd have to agree, and that's why I was like the subtle humor. I appreciated it, but to say that this movie used any ounce of humor to drive stuff home, that would be incorrect.
Yeah,
it not like it. It felt like with the cast, it definitely could have. Tiffany Haddish alone in there,
Tiffany Haddish is showing her comedic chops in this film.
Yeah.
Now you're probably wondering what this film is about. All right, it's about planet Earth. They come in contact with the aliens called the Vulv, VUVV, the Vulv. It's weird. These cube-like creatures that come. They introduce themselves to the world. And you know how the world interacts with aliens. Like, actually, kill all these little weird block things. We don't want them. Very hostile. But they came and they showed how they could commodify and simplify the world that we're currently living in. So people that bridge the gap between the Vulv and the rest of the world were these giant businesses and corporations. Like, oh, I can give you a little bit of material and you can turn a profit off of this.
You guessed it.
That's capitalism 101.
You get ding, ding, ding right again.
And so they kept doing this. And where we meet our characters at, these guys are kicking it in the slums. But the thing about it,
full on project living.
But the thing about it is, it's suburban living. But these guys are like
Scavenging.
Because we first one of our first main characters we meet is Adam, who is played by Asante Black.
Hey, and he was in This Is Us, ain't it?
His face does look familiar. I don't know where I saw him from, but I'm
Mhm.
gonna have to get back to you on that one.
Very distinctive face.
Yeah, Asante Black plays Adam. Tiffany Haddish, son, who Tiffany Haddish plays Beth. And Adam meets Chloe, played by Kylie Rogers, at school. He sees her in one of his class where they're getting their Volve education.
Sounds so explicit.
Bro, like they get these like things attached to their head, and they're like, yes, this is the Volve, and like we helped humanity.
It was so
And then after the lesson, the teacher's like, all right, they're replacing me, so I'm cut out. I ain't got no job no more. Good luck with that. And so they start talking, and he finds out her life story. And so she is living in her car with her brother and dad in underpasses, literally homeless. And so Adam, being the altruistic empath that he is like, oh, you can live with us. We got a big house and we got a basement. And so they live with them.
Ooh.
Which I'm like, oh man. Which another thing is, when I first saw this movie, I thought it was gonna be like a rom-com too. I thought it was gonna be like romance. I thought there was gonna be more romance heavy.
And I love what they did with it.
The romance part was, I think, the best part of the film.
Yeah.
Man, before the romance started popping off, man, somebody else decided to pop off before they even got together. Early in the scene, that Tisha lost her job, man.
God.
It wasn't funny, but it was like, it was one of those dark humor things, man.
If you call it that, because it was just like,
It was so depressing.
and that's what made me think about when you was like, life sucks. I was like, bro, yeah, like, because I like just at the stage. I guess like after Chloe and Adam are talking or whatever, and like they end the school day, and now they're walking back because he done about to bring the girl home.
Yeah.
So they outside in the front of the school just chilling like villains, and then out of nowhere this shot rings off, and guess what happened?
Brother paints his gray matter onto the bulletin board outside,
And it was just
like it was just so like crazy. I was like, oh, I didn't. It's that bad.
in the way that they like handled it. It was like they were shook at first, but then they was like, man, this happens all the time. And I was like, yeah, it do. It really do. And then they really just didn't even talk about it after that.
Yeah, they went on like to the next day. They ain't even mentioned at the dinner table. And so Adam, Chloe, their relationship starts to bud. Adam, he's a painter because they meet in art class. He's a painter. He's doing all this art. He starts drawing her, and then like their relationship starts to bud, and it's feeling real genuine. And then Chloe is like, "Hey, what if we broadcast our relationship?" And I'm like, "What is that?" Like, what is that? Like, oh, well, these little devices that we like learn instead of like intaking information, we could broadcast our lives because the Volve up there, they watch this stuff because they don't have love in their species. They don't love. They just reproduce asexually. They just bud off of one another. So you got one and just bloop, another one. And so they love what they don't love. They find human love to be entertainment. So
Yeah. Which was deep. Hey, this movie was doing some things, but when I realized that they were like, they didn't even love, they just found it very entertaining and like something that they could just like sink their teeth in, bruh. I was like, ooh.
And so they start broadcasting their love and like their relationship and stuff. You can see Adam is very he's not really vibing with it like at first because it feels very artificial. And like during these moments I'm like, wow, like does capitalism really just erode relationships like this? Because that's what this film is like looking like it's telling us.
Like that's how it struck me because like, and it's funny the way you said that. I was thinking like, dang, like on a lesser level for like I guess us common folk. I think about like how just capitalism in and of itself, like it'll separate love from two parties. Like not even just in the sense of like, man, we got to do this. Like we got to sell our thoughts, but some people literally have to like. You see that all the time on the reality TV shows where you become a product. And that's what holds you together. But with us, like, you at job A 8 to 4. I gotta go 4 to 12, and we literally are ships, passing the night.
Yes.
So it's just like, dang, like in a way, yeah.
And it keeps you from rekindling that love, but it's always that nice moment when like your days end and you can come home with one another. You can feel that human connection.
Yeah.
But with them, there was no ever time to feel that connection because you're constantly putting your life on broadcast. This was eroding Adam's feelings for her because it felt like it was putting up a wall. Because Adam, like I said, is very empathetic. He's an artist.
Yeah.
He wants to he constantly feels in this film.
Good observation.
But like all of his feelings, they're never like outward like bursts or expressions. He always puts them into his paintings.
Bookmark, you spitting today. Bookmark that, because I'm gonna come back to when you say he feels throughout this whole movie. There's a specific scene where I was like, "Ooh, I can't wait to talk about that." But I just noticed that with her, it was kind of unearthing a little bit to me, and I don't know if you felt that way too, because it's just like her stoicness around the commodification and the revenue side of this relationship.
Yeah, she saw it as a business.
And I was like, oh my God. And you could just see Adam just really dying a little bit, but just like real slowly. Like each day is like he just pieced it together. He's like,
that's what this film really does. Is it feels like it's like removing this human aspect from you, and that these aliens are a real life placeholder in this world of personifying corporations. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's the funny part, because at first I was like, man, these little blob things, like, this would be crazy. But then you just, as the movie goes on, you kind of just move and you just kind of drag and drop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
I mean, they show up out of nowhere and they find a way into your life and they have an effect on your life. These aliens, they literally control destiny and they control people's lives.
Yeah. They literally shape society.
Yes. And so they want to see relationships. Guess what? They're the consumers, and you are now following this market so you can get money to survive in this place where nobody is living really good. And so as we go through the film, you start, like we're saying, Adam and Chloe, their relationship, it starts to fracture, and to the point where the Volve even understand, like, these two do not love each other anymore.
Player sued them. I got served in school.
Yes.
If you think getting served at work,
you think getting served while you're trying to get a soft serve at McDonald's is crazy. Imagine peeping up at school.
And then she like, hey,
can you read this?
Can you read this? So they had to find a player to transcribe what the Volve was saying to them.
They ain't even doing no justice writing it in their language. They're like, nah. Hey, man, you're going to have to go up top to get this settled.
I just imagine what happens if you just kept that around. I'll get to it later.
Man, I'll translate it later. Man, yeah, these Volves, they also like talk with their hands.
With their hands, like
they
the Birdman.
Like, I'm making these sounds, but it's pretty much what it was. The sound design in this film, fantastic. The depiction of the Volve and like their own talking like language, very funny. And also, their voice always comes to a robotic box, so it feels very impersonal.
Oh man,
you're literally talking to a gelatinous cube that can just dictate your life. It's crazy.
Yes,
they go up there and they're like, "Hey, we were watching, me and my offspring. We love watching you, but your title's a lie. Y'all aren't in love, so give us all the money we gave you back, or we gonna put you in debt jail."
Bruh, they said for generations.
Yeah. 6 generations of your family gonna be in debt.
Player. Oh, Lord.
I feel like we already did that with student loans.
He got me sweating them.
I felt that. I was like, uh-oh.
Player said for generations. That as a...
And teenagers realizing you're just in debt because, like, oh, what? And so, like, they hatch this quick scheme by Chloe, instantly tries to be like, oh, what if we just continue the broadcast on just without each other?
That broke my heart so bad, because she was just like, all right, like the hustle must continue.
Yeah, the hustle precedes any like actual connection with another person.
Oh my
and
God.
they get back on the little train, bus, whatever, and they're talking, and she's
to set the stage. So imagine being in the actual meeting, and like right now, hey, we're gonna sue you for generations to come. What you gonna do? And you just thinking like, generations? I'm already the last seed right now. And then immediately your partner in crime just says, what if I fall in love with somebody else? And then you just look like, oh. And then immediately right after that, you on a train riding back to Earth.
Yes. And then she's like, it popped in my mind. It's like, well, what about us? She's like, hey, I don't want to go back to living in an underpass in my car.
And she immediately said, hey, what was she said? Like the income or whatever is more important than our friendship.
Yes.
And I was like, friendship. Oh, that hurt.
And then he was like, did you even and it's crazy what, like, again, this mindset of like money, this drive to like hustle and like, you know, to participate in this capitalistic society, how it would erode your relationships, your friendships, and everything like that.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh, wow. And you could see it hurt Adam. Asante Black does a real good job of showing the pain in his face,
dude,
but like not actually like saying anything.
The voiceless his nonverbal communication through this movie is one of the best things about it. But Lord, when she said that, and he was just like, and then she gave a seat up. She was like, hey, excuse me, ma'am, you want to sit right here? And then he let her respond, just got up. And I said, oh Lord, can't even ride back with me. And
her father is also a very interested, lens into. I'm gonna call them bootlickers because that's what they are. That's like somebody that like looks at the way like capitalism has like shaped their life, and is okay with that, and just chalks it up like, oh well, this is how it works. Like this is how we got to get in. Oh, I was late to it. Sucks. But like at any moment in time, he like would hop right into the Volve like thing just to be out of the squalor, you know? Like it's that crab in a bucket mentality. I would literally pull you down so I can get up. We ain't going nowhere. And he literally does this when Tiffany Haddish, she decides to be a good mother and save her son from all this debt. She goes talk to Shirley. That's the name of the Volve. Yeah. She worked a deal out to where she would play house with Shirley's offspring. And this offspring, all it consumes is the 1950 like sitcom family stuff. And you know what that was. Man goes to work,
y'all
wife
know
stays
what
home,
that was,
and does all the cooking and cleaning. And that's what that Volve wants because that's all it consumed. That's all it knew. Yeah. Because, you know, it wanted to play pretend because guess what? It has that allowance too.
Yeah.
Because it controls the market. Like they get payment for keeping this thing happy to play house. I'm like, oh. And eventually Tiffany Haddish, she gets a call. She's like, hey, we got a job for you. Remember that thing you bought? I'm going to work. And the Vol's like, hey, you ain't going to work. My wife don't work. You stay in here. You cook it and clean it. I got you a delivery.
Oh.
Gave her the dress, the wig.
Yo, this Vol was habitually line stepping the whole time.
Yes.
Like, and then bruh, ordered a blonde wig. I said, that is so subtle. That is so subtle.
It wanted that. And then it wanted to simulate like a family. And again, because my interpretation of the Volve are a placeholder for corporations. Yeah. And corporations, they want to simulate the nuclear family life. And what better way than the 1950s, husband, wife, kids, wife cooking, cleaning, husband provides. And in corporations, they want to put on that front of, yes, I want to understand these families so I can commodify this more and get more money and then keep on doing this thing. But while never actually interacting with it and like understanding and learning what like is a family.
Yeah.
So Tiffany Haddish, she goes to Soup Bread thing. The Chloe's dad, man, grimy, comes in like,
this is for real grimy player.
He's like,
yo,
hey, she didn't treat you like that. Cuts to the next scene. Mom comes back from work. Adam comes in like, hey, what's going on? Dad's like, hey, look at this. They peer over. Brothers in a wig.
With the blonde wig, y'all.
Apron. Bro, that leg was laid. You couldn't.
Hey, I want to say, though, he would look good, though. He would look good that way. He laid that he laid that.
Because my mom's a hairstylist. Unfortunately, like, I, like, have a novice eye. You can tell when a bad wig is on. You can see the lines. You can see where, like, It was perfect, like seamless. I was like, bro, who laid this man's wig?
Man, I had no natural baby hairs, 0% hair. I
was
said,
like,
okay, with the robo, you go ahead,
Miss
player.
Ma'am.
You go ahead with your bad self.
He turned around and he's like, don't you judge me.
He said, don't you say nothing. I was like, hold on now.
I'm grinding.
I'm grinding. And then they were just like, hey. And at that point, it was just like, hey, we gonna go upstairs. We gonna eat some soup. Like,
Yeah. We are not entertaining this anymore.
we ain't touching this one. This too deep for us right now.
So, Jeezy, I know you put a pin in it earlier, and I know it's been biting at you. So, you want to give us a little background on the part of the film that you really enjoyed?
So for backstory, in between each scene, typically, but mostly it's like per progression in the film, they have a painting and it'll say like blank, and it'll be like a visual description of like what the character maybe, or, you know, will be feeling, something to that degree. It said unexpected encounter. And Adam's dad,
Oh, yeah.
dude, that scene left me so raw. Because like his dad apparently was a lawyer. No, he
Real
wasn't
estate.
real estate. I'm sorry. The mother is a lawyer. He was in real estate and he had went to California or something like that.
Yeah,
I
they're
think.
like, oh, the houses are here.
Right. And then he just randomly, like, Adam's just up, and I think he like hears a noise, and then like his dad apparently comes in the house. And then they just, and maybe it's just you feel this, probably because we could kind of relate a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just something so poignant about just calling it an unexpected encounter. I'm like, that's with your dad.
Yeah.
That's with an unexpected encounter.
And it feels like, you know, like, oh, man, they're about to get the family back together. Like, that moment of like, oh, man, yeah, like, okay, this film has been like kind of like eroding the humanity and like making me feel like, oh, man, like, what's left of the world if like nothing but like capitalism drives it. And the dad's like, hey, what's going on, son? Like, how things going? It's like he came back to like start his family anew. He peeps in, he sees his wife with the Volvo because she's got to do what she's got to do to provide for her family.
Yeah. And because he was like, hey, does your mom, did she still, what I want to say lucid, like, did she miss me, or like, has she found somebody else? And right before that, Adam, like the moment with his dad, it just got to be too much. And he went in like the upstairs bathroom and not like exceedingly hyperventilating, but definitely like having an anxiety attack about
it. It was just so much.
It's so much. And then it's like he didn't even say anything. And I was like, man, that scene was raw. But then when he finally gets himself together, like imagine y'all, like you haven't seen your dad for all this has happened. You got this blob in here saying that I'm your dad. And then your dad finally like an actual alien.
Yeah.
Which I was like, this is so masterful. But then he looks in as Adam's getting himself together, composed to come out and, you know, talk to his dad. He looks in the room and sees Beth with the Volvo, and then immediately leaves. And all Adam can do is he's like, Dad, where you at? And then he goes outside and he sees his dad walking down the street, and Adam says nothing. And he's like, what was on his face? That's some stuff I'll always remember this movie for that. Cause I was like, that's so real. Cause I was like, he didn't even know what to like.
He didn't yell out his name like, wait, come back. It's just
nothing. Cause he's seen it before.
Yeah, he's like, you've walked out of my life once and you just do it again. Daddy didn't even like bother trying to get an explanation because he hated the Volvo. I mean, everybody does.
Everybody does, yeah. But man, that scene was just, and I don't even think we heard from him from the rest of the movie.
No,
I was like, that is so. That was just to say an unexpected encounter like an alien, and then your dad is the figurative alien in this whole movie. Your dad is less common than Volvos running the planet, and then as quick as he came, he's gone.
And so all this, like,
I miss you, Dad.
It culminates to this mural that he paints. All these emotions, everything he's feeling, paints it. The Volvos see it, like, yes, come up, we'll give you the 1.7 mil, and I'm like, oh wow, this is great, fantastic. He finally found a way to provide for the family. His family's happy,
so he gets all packed. He's ready to go,
and he goes up to the mothership. And this is the most like dark, just dejected thing. And as he's walking through this, the Volvos like, oh right, we're gonna make you to create some art in the 12 galaxies that we have like controlled, and then we're gonna copy your work and distribute it and resell it. And I'm just thinking like, wow, how fast they have commodified this man's art, this beautiful piece
already.
And like, yeah, you're gonna do this, and then we're gonna like distribute it, copy it, all this. And then he's like, all right, but first, before you do that, you're gonna give a speech about your mural. And it's like, oh yeah, I made an exact replica. Like, oh no. We just ripped that thing off the side of the building.
Just took it.
And I'm like, that's correct. But that's what happens.
That's what happens.
Like, you'll create something wonderful in your area, in your neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Some company will come, give you a bunch of money, and like, who are you to say no because you ain't got it?
Got it.
But they will take whatever you've created, remove it, and put it in a place where they want it so they can admire it. So nobody, because they view that barbaric art as such high class that these squalor people shouldn't be able to see it. So something he made for his community instantly ripped from the ground up into the mothership. And they're like, oh yeah, we also made some slight edits. And when you go around and look at the edits, they put smiling faces on everybody. The trash that was literally falling from the sky, oh, it's food and candy and stuff. And it so quickly twists and like undermines the story and meaning behind his mural about how his life is terrible and these Volve have done nothing but like drop trash on him and they had to find a way to survive. And they're like, actually, we're your saviors and you're happy and everybody down there's happy because we're here and we're all happy. But that, and I'm thinking like, oh, this is what just corporations do. At corporations, they come in, infest where you're at, like make everything around you bad, but then we'll turn around and be like, you'll see a commercial, everybody in the commercial smiling and happy. Hey man, come work at so-and-so. Hey man, come do this. Like, look how much we're helping benefit society. But in reality, everybody there and under that umbrella, that literal umbrella of those floating cities are suffering. But like, they don't want to show that because like, we're going to morph reality because we can.
We can.
And like Adam sees this, couldn't handle just what they did to his mural. He leaves, forgoes the money, and goes back home. And he's like, hey, I couldn't do it. I just can't. I'd rather be broke with my family than be rich doing something that is just so soulless. And the movie ends where it begins. With a painting.
Literally, with a painting. With them. And I want to say too, we're both artists.
Yeah.
Both artists. I think there was nothing more staggering than them saying, oh, we made edits. Like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, oh. And you know when it's, oh, we made edits without your approval, you know this thing is going to be bad.
You already know. But man, like to essentially make this a celebration piece of the society that y'all have upended into our current,
and that's what I was getting at when I first said at the beginning, this movie makes me feel like a nihilist.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, the light at the end of the tunnel, at the end of the movie is like Adam and Chloe, you can see that their relationship is starting to rekindle again. They're going back to like what really started it all.
Yeah.
Their love of art and like, you know, talking with each other. And I'm like, okay, that's nice. But it was a nice little like flame and otherwise like such a dark and heavy movie that made me feel like I watched it at night and while I was going back to sleep, I'm like, man, that movie kind of was heavy. Life kind of sucks,
bro. Like seriously. Okay, so that's the funny thing. I watched it during the day, and I was just like, oh. And it didn't really, and I don't know. It kind of made me look at that thing, like face that reality of like, dang, like all we have is our nothingness, but each other, and now that's the only wholeness in this movie. Is the family. And it's just kind of weird. It's just like,
and it all like culminates with like art is the one thing is kind of what this movie is telling you. Like art is the one thing that can pierce through this like capitalistic society and like bring back humanity. Yeah. But I'll be honest, man. After watching it, I didn't really feel like art was doing that much because you saw how fast and easy that thing was co-opted and like quickly twisted to a commodity. And it was like, oh, bro, like, and it made me feel a little bit powerless.
It did.
Because like everybody in that film was powerless.
Everybody from top to bottom. And I will say like it definitely had me in my, you know, music. It was just like, dang, like am I searching for keys to a sinking ship?
At the end of it all though, what do you think, Greg? What would you rate this movie? Would you recommend it, kind of recommend it, or highly recommend it?
Oh, I would highly recommend it. The one thing about this movie that I will say, and take it from me, I'm just a player, but you really probably want to not go in with a preconceived notion of I'm looking to find this. Like let the meaning find you. And that's the dangerous part about it too, because I think from where we come from and what we done been through and what we can experience, I think we probably got the intended message.
Yeah.
But at the same time though, you think about somebody that might be steps above us. How would that strike them? Would they be like, oh, this ain't like what? No, that's not even like that. Like, but it's like it I don't know. It's a true art piece, and the perspective will differ from whoever sees it. But I think if you're really looking at it with empathetic eyes and an empathetic heart, you can see the humanity robbery that we are living in is very present in this movie.
Well, with me, I would kind of recommend it personally.
Really?
Why I enjoyed the movie, the overall
Oh,
I enjoyed the themes, overall message of it, but when I said, when I first saw this movie, what I came in expecting of it was completely different, which I'm okay with, but it was so different and jarring. I'm like, oh man, it left me not feeling good. Now, granted, does every movie have to leave you feeling good?
No.
Absolutely not.
Sometimes it shouldn't.
Yeah,
I get that.
but I would not recommend this for a casual watcher. I would if you like movies, if you like watching something that'll make you feel a different emotion other than joy, happiness, and entertainment, then I'd say you personally would like this movie. But the everyday casual individual, this movie might just be too much or maybe be too heavy-handed in its messaging. Well, guys, that was Landscaping with the Invisible Hand. Well, Landscape with the Invisible Hand, not landscaping. I do that all the time. But Landscape with the Invisible Hand. That's our review.
You've been listening to In Post. If you like what you heard, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It really helps the podcast grow. Thank you. You've been listening to In Post.